So, a little bit of an update on Palestine and the whole situation going on with it. So, American Jews and allies have blocked 4+ doors to the White House. We're prepared to put our bodies in the way of more slaughter. We're ready to stay here until Biden forces a ceasefire. So, a big protest happened at the White House and apparently was able to shut down 4 doors, but a lot happened during this time. So, they blocked another entrance. We're here because we know humanitarian catastrophe. Mass violence among Gaza won't prevent more violence or heal our pain. We are also here raising our voices for our Israeli siblings while burying their loved ones and awaiting news of those kidnapped or screaming at their government for the bombs to stop. And they blocked another one. So yeah, they are trying to, these are Jewish people who are very much against the, genocide that is going on in Gaza. And again, I've said this before. This isn't even popular within the Israeli population. There is a contingency of people who are very much for it, but it's a small minority. It's a very small vocal minority. Overall, people just don't want this violence to go on. There's a bunch of freaks out there who do. A lot of people in the media who do too, and it's disgusting. But it's not a popular situation going on right now. Then we have police are making arrests, masses here, singing and ready to stay. Just disgusting. A lot of people just willing to do anything and everything for the government to stop their aid when it comes to, aiding Israel. And apparently Biden has even requested a $105 billion national security package for Israel and Ukraine. 14.3 billion aid for Israel, 10 billion for humanitarian assistance. This is for Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, and other humanitarian needs. It includes support for Palestinian refugees in the West Bank and surrounding areas. But you're still helping the people who are murdering them. So I don't know how much of your humanitarian assistance is really going to work, especially if it's not going straight towards them. Just an awful situation that Biden is just being a complete fucking ghoul on. And there's also been a rise of Islamophobia going around. As we see here, a pro-Israeli Illinois landlord murdered a 6-year-old Muslim boy with a knife, stabbing him 26 times and stabbed his mother over a dozen times. She's luckily expected to survive. Who could have guessed that dehumanization in media has real-world consequences? So yeah, this is a hate crime. This is literally just a hate crime. On October 14th, 2023, at approximately 11:38 a.m., deputies with the Will County Sheriff's Office was sent to a residence located near the 16200 block of S. Lincoln Highway in unincorporated Plainfield Township regarding a stabbing that occurred involving a landlord and a renter. When police personnel arrived on scene, they located the suspect, age 71, of Plainfield, sitting upright outside on the ground near the driveway of the residence. He had a laceration to his forehead and was later transported to a local area hospital for treatment. Deputies located 2 victims inside the residence in a bedroom. Both victims had multiple stab wounds to their chest, torso, and upper extremities. Both victims were transported to a local area hospital for treatment. The 32-year-old female was transported in serious condition and had over a dozen stab wounds to her body. The female victim is recovering from her injuries at a local area hospital and is expected to survive this brutal attack. It was initially reported to a police personnel that the juvenile victim was 8 years old. That initial information was incorrect, and juvenile victim is 6 years old. The 6-year-old male was transported to the hospital in critical condition. The boy later succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased by a doctor. On October 15th, 2023, an autopsy was conducted on the 6-year-old victim. The forensic pathologist conducted the autopsy, removing the knife from the abdomen. of the boy at the time. The 6-year-old boy was stabbed 26 times throughout his body. The knife used in this attack is a 12-inch serrated military-style knife that has a 7th-inch blade. The suspect was treated and released from a local area hospital and was transported to the Will County Sheriff's Public Safety Complex for questioning by detectives. He did not make any statements to detectives regarding his involvement in the heinous attack. Despite the suspect not providing a statement to detectives, personnel were able to gather enough information through interviews and evidence to formally charge him with numerous criminal offenses. He was charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, hate crime on 2 accounts, and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Detectives were able to determine that both victims in this brutal attack were targeted by the suspect due to them being Muslim and the ongoing Middle Eastern conflict involving Hamas and the Israelis. This is just a consequence of the whole just the dehumanization of Palestinians and Muslims when it comes to this conflict going on. When the focus should be on this government doing this very terrible genocide. That should be what the focus is. Not do these prisoners, basically the people who live in Gaza, basically prisoners. Do these prisoners deserve to live or not? Just fucking sick. And as you might have heard, there was a hospital that was bombed. I don't know if it was confirmed about who it was. There's people on the Israeli government side that says that it was a misfired missile from Hamas that ended up landing in a hospital. There's people who saying that this was a Israeli airstrike. I'm more on the side that was more than likely Israel. At the same time, there hasn't been no independent confirmation on this, so a lot of it could just be propaganda from one side or the other. But 500 people died, at least. This is from the Gaza Health Ministry. It says that an Israeli airstrike has killed at least 500 people at a hospital in Gaza City. I have the video here. You can kind of hear it going in. You can hear that whistle before the impact. That makes me believe that it might be an Israeli airstrike, because if it was a Hamas missile that misfired, I don't know. I don't feel like it would sound like that. It sounded like a missile going straight for it. It didn't seem like a misfire, or else I don't feel like it would have made that type of sound. I don't know. That felt like something that was meant to be hitting its target, not something that was misfiring. I feel like you would hear a lot more sputtering noises from something that misfired than something that is going in a straight, perfect path like an airstrike would. But again, that's just my opinion on the matter. There hasn't been any independent confirmation from which I have heard of yet. So we don't know, but I'm not putting it behind the Israeli government that it could have been them. I know there was video footage of it could be Hamas, and I don't know for sure. It could have been. That's the thing. But until someone independently confirms it, we don't know. But people still died. That's the important thing. It's still a terrible death. It's still a terrible fucking situation that these people are in. And I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be them, because we got this tweet right here. Breaking: Israeli Air Force struck a Hamas terrorist base inside a hospital in Gaza. A multiple number of terrorists are dead. It's heartbreaking that Hamas is launching rockets from hospitals, mosques, schools, and using civilians as human shields. So I think this is supposed to be they bombed the hospital because they're Hamas, because Hamas was in it, which isn't. I don't think that needs to be said. I don't think it needs to be said that isn't a good reason to bomb a hospital, We also have the Prime Minister of Israel. There is a struggle between the children of light and the children of darkness, between humanity and the law of the jungle. Again, just dehumanizing Palestinians. In the BBC even insinuated that Hamas builds tunnels under hospitals, again, just trying to justify these killings. Yeah. And, if you thought them bombing a hospital was bad, get a load of this. Maybe everyone may have been a bit busy debating who bombed the hospital to notice a school got bombed as well. In an airstrike, at least 6 people were bombed in a school in Gaza. Just apparently in mosque as well. Just every single part of this is just fucking terrible. And even the Minister of National Security, Ben-Gvir, the only thing that should enter Gaza until the hostages are released are hundreds of tons of explosives from the Israeli Air Force, not an ounce of humanitarian aid. Here's the quote here from CNN as well, just to show that he's not making this up. Just completely disgusting. Like, this keeps getting worse. It really does. Like, right when you think it can't get any worse, it finds a way to get worse. And there doesn't seem to be any stop to it. Our own government, even with people protesting, the White House refuses to do anything when it comes to withholding aid from to Israel, to supporting Palestinians. Just utterly disgusting.